10 interesting psychological facts about sex. Beyond the pleasure, sexual intercourse has numerous healthy benefits. It can help you feel happier, be healthier, and live a longer life. It can also cover against complaint and conceivably help cancer. Then, we explore some of the fresh benefits that having sex can give you. Sex is a weird, messy, and constantly surprising sequence of events. With an act so changeable, there has got to be all kinds of far-out data girding it. And there are. It does not count how big of a ultra-modern-day Casanova you are, you surely do not know many of the data on men. One, wearing high heels can negatively affect a woman's orgasm. Certain high-end shoe brands develop the bow in their high-heeled shoes to compare the bow in a woman's pelvis when she's having an orgasm. The heels produce a compression in the pelvic bottom, which is problematic because the pelvic bottom also cannot contract further during orgasm. An orgasm is generally like going from 0 to 60. However, you're not going to have a full experience, if you're formerly at 55, from wearing heels. Two, women think more about sex than men. Society may make women out to be dainty flowers who wouldn't dare have sexy studies on their own, but in reality, they suppose about coitus a lot and would like to have further of it. For example, one recent survey set up that about 53% of women weren't having or experiencing good sex as they would like, and nearly 75% of women involved in the check expressed a desire to make love at least 3 times a week. Men talk and think a lot about sex, while women ask it more frequently. We explore the reasons. Men think, while women desire. Gone are the days when demanding coitus was considered simply a man's speciality. Moment women demand coitus lesser than men. And they've no compunctions about getting oral about it. Nowadays what we see is that stress on men soliciting for coitus and women denying it. It sounds so funny to me. Three, some people feel very wired to have further sex. Yes. Well, while we aren't intimating at nymphomaniacs or people whose sexual drives are overtly high, but according to a study, an existence brain wiring may impact the number of sexual mates he or she has. The experimenters came to this conclusion when they performed brain reviews of levies as they viewed sexually suggestive images and also probed the subjects about their individual sexual behaviors of one's time. Supposedly, it turned out that individualities whose smarts were most active while viewing the sexual images were also the people who had most number of sexual mates. Unfit to figure out why you cannot get to bed with her after several attempts while your closest friend is no way short of offers? Your brain is simply not wired for coitus. Four, sex is good for the immune system. In the middle of a flu epidemic, wouldn't it be good if there was some easy way of boosting our immune system? One study has set up that sex does just that. Antibodies are our body's way of relating foreign agents like origins and contagions. One of these, immunoglobulin A, is set up in our slaver and 1 mucous membranes and is a vital line of defense against cold wave and flu contagions as well as other pathogens. In those who have sex, it could help reduce the threat of sexually transmitted conditions. To test this, levies were quizzed about their sexual history and their situations of immunoglobulin A were measured. Those who had coitus once a week had only a slightly raised position, but those who had 2 times a week had situations 30 above those who had no sex. Unfortunately, those who had coitus 3 or further times per week had lower situations than those who had no coitus at all, so try not to overstate it. Sharing in sex 1 to 2 times per week helps boost the immune system, according to survey published in Cerebral Reports. They set up that people who had sex formerly or doubly per week had a 30% increase in IgA, an antibody that shows how tough our immune system is. Five, orgasms block pain after. An incidental finding revealed that lab rats witnessing vaginal stimulation felt less hurt. It was decided that analogous exploration should be tried with mortal women. Women were invited into a lab and told to tone pleasure themselves manually. While this was going on, a machine compressed the fritters of the other hand, and the subjects had to say how painful they were chancing the experience. Stimulating the vagina led to the test subjects' pain threshold doubling. Latterly work on women in parturition set up that the end of the baby's head into the vagina stimulated this process of lessening pain too. Those who achieve orgasm can look forward to reduced pain too, as orgasms release endorphins into the brain. These hormones spark the opioid receptors, the same bones targeted by medicines like heroin that have a pain-blocking effect. Six, ovulation affects sexual desires for both men and women. It turns out that the 12 to 48-hour window when a woman is ovulating and can laterally get pregnant has a love potion effect on both relations. According to one study, rich women parade a stronger magnet to typical nascence males than when they are not ovulating. Men, on the other hand, appear to find ovulation commodity of an aphrodisiac. In another study, men rated armpit odors of women at colorful stages in their menstrual cycle, and the most seductive smells, according to the actors, came from women who were ovulating. An analogous study set up men indeed to consider the faces of ovulating women more seductive. Eight, womanish sexual dysfunction has both physical and cerebral rudiments. Normal sexual function involves a complex mind-body connection. To physically respond, the woman's nervous, circulatory, and endocrine systems must work together. To mentally respond, your mind must deal with studies, feelings, stations, and beliefs about coitus. The mind-body connection is dysfunctional when either physical or internal issues, or both, intrude with a woman's capability to enjoy sex. Nine, less sex, more work. Experimenters and surveys connected set up that people with a less than robust sex life tend to take on further work to compensate for their lack of fulfillment in the bedroom. The study asked 1,000 people to describe their sex and work habits. The experimenters set up that 36% of men and 35% of women who have sexual relationship only formerly a week plunge themselves into their work. The further work you have, the further stress you have, and the further stress you have, the lower coitus you have. It's a truly vicious cycle. Ten, sex protects against cancer. According to some exploration, men aged 50 and over who have frequent sex are less likely to be diagnosed with prostate cancer than men their same age who don't have sex frequently. Set up that intercourse and masturbation may reduce the threat of prostate cancer in aged men. Set up that frequent exclamations in a man's 20s may also help drop his threat of prostate cancer. Those of us born before the Renaissance will no doubt be pleasantly surprised by the apparent advances in sex education that have passed in the last 2 decades. As of last time, connections and sex education is now statutory in English secondary seminaries, although only connections education is statutory in primary seminaries. Motifs including connections, sexual health, and parenting now all form corridor of the classes in Scotland and Northern Ireland, too. This is obviously a little late for a lot of us, and the tutoring of these subjects still varies hectically between seminaries, but advancements have been and continue to be made. Children and youthful people due in no small part to the internet are more sexually apprehensive than ever ahead. This, of course, brings its own challenges. The vacuity of potentially dangerous information means that sex preceptors have had to up their game. But this also means that young people are more curious and open to learning further about the content. Substantiation suggests that children and youthful people that were given the right coitus ed at the right age ended up having coitus laterally and using condoms more. So this is all about today's video. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so that you get notified as soon as we upload a video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in next one.